I brought it over there, and the other children immediately started just like cursing and yelling at Pikachu.
Oh my god.
So mad. I was furious. Because like, I was like, you guys are fucking this up for me. Pikachu's gonna hate me.
You ain't starting this pod without me. You think you can start this pod without me? You think you could do this without me? Huh?
I'm the face, baby. You can't have video game podtimism without your face.
Who's the face? Are you the face? Chase the face?
No, you're the face,
I'm the
man.
face?
You're the face of video game
Yes,
podtimism.
I'm the face of the podcast.
Which is, yeah, questionable given that there is really no face other than the album art, but you are the face of it. Just this sort of ethereal, otherworldly face that shows up when you listen.
So is the face that people envision when they think of me just like what they think my voice sounds like?
There's that, but I also think that the face is just sort of this like visage that will show up to people that we're trying to communicate to them.
Whoa.
So like your apparition will appear in their head, whether or not they choose to accept it. That's fine. But
hey, there's another episode up on your podcast thing of choice, podcast app of choice. Go check it out, guys.
It's the Spooky David podcast.
It's the Spooky Dave podcast. Hey, that's next month. We're almost there. Don't get too excited.
We are almost there. Yeah.
Get ready for another month of spooks from Podtimism.
David, I'm frightened. I'm frightened of October. We went way too hard last year. We blew every idea that we had.
No, it's gonna be good. We're gonna do well.
I hope so. I hope there's something in there for this podcast named Video Game Podtimism. Which is, in fact, the Optimists video game variety show, where two best friends of, like, nearly 25 years.
Oh, damn.
I think.
Are we able to rent a car now? Our friendship?
Yeah. Jeez.
Our frontal lobe has stopped developing finally, and we're able to have rational, cognizant thoughts and opinions and emotions.
As a friendship.
As a friendship, yeah.
Man, I've known you a long time. A quarter of a decade.
A quarter of a decade?
No. A quarter of a century.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
2.5 years. It's been a while, baby.
Jesus. I mean, we've been recording episodes of this longer than longer than a quarter of a decade.
Oh my God.
Where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. Hi, my name is Chase.
And my name is David.
Welcome to this place. This nice, warm place that we call Video Game
Welcome to the
Podtimism.
Chase place.
Welcome to the Chase place.
Featuring the face, which I guess is me.
Featuring the face. Yeah, that's you.
Sure.
The face of podcasting.
Oh, God.
Hey, have you been playing video games?
I have been.
Cool. Could you run me down?
I am hopping in my electric moped and I am running you right down, baby, with these video games.
I'm ready.
Yeah, so I beat Psychonauts 2.
Oh, dang. Okay. How long is this video game?
Maybe like a good 14 to 16 hours, maybe. It's not super long. Maybe it's shorter than that, but I definitely spend a lot of time just kind of exploring the beautiful levels and, you know, not getting like super into all the completionist stuff, but trying to grab as many things as I can in a level because I don't want to have to go back and do it again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just fell apart there for a second. I'm 30 now.
30, baby.
But I really enjoyed this game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was just pure fun. I thought it looked great.
It does look really good.
Some of the levels and some of the graphic art style designs are very striking and interesting. The story had me interested the whole way. I didn't really expect how it was going to end, which I always like. You know, it's not just straightforward. And there's definitely some pretty interesting, wacky levels in the later game that were quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this one. It's not like on the level of like a Control as far as like psychic combat goes, but it's quite satisfying still. Yeah, it was a great fun little game. Good job, Tim Schafer. No one makes games like him, so I appreciate that an auteur has come back.
Yeah, and all of Double Fine. I presume there's a lot of people that worked on this.
Yeah, sorry, not just to say it was just Timmy Schafer.
Sure,
right?
But it definitely feels like a Double Fine game.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a Double Fine game. And I personally like the humor. I know you weren't a huge fan on it, but I think it's...
I didn't think it was bad. I just said that like some of it missed the mark for me. But I'd say like most of the humor landed. It was just like a couple times I was like, this feels dated. Mm-hmm. But it's certainly not like purposefully trying to be shitty or like smarmy.
Yeah.
Just some of the stuff I was like, oh, that's not that good. But like, I'd say, yeah, the majority of it, I was like, that's funny. This is good.
Mm-hmm. How far are you in the game?
I just got outside of Psychonauts HQ.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm not super far in. I do this with video games sometimes where like I'll get into like kind of fits and starts of it, where I'll start a game, I'll get like an hour into it, get distracted with something else or play a game that I've already been playing and then like come back to it. And it's kind of hard to like restart my knowledge of the video game.
Sure. I get that.
I had to do that with Persona at some point where it was like, I put it down for like a couple of months and then came back and I was like, oh my God, how do I play this video game? I don't remember what I was doing.
How do I Persona?
Yeah. This is a tangent, but I tried this with Blasphemous recently because like you were talking about it and I was like, I was into it. Absolutely got my ass kicked and was like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it.
And the ship has sailed.
Yeah, no. And I'm at this awkward point where I was like, well, maybe I'll just like restart. I feel like I wasn't that far into it. I look at the playtime and I'm 10 hours into this video.
10 hours.
Like, I think I'm not going to do this one. I'll catch you at Blasphemous 2.
It's got announced.
Yeah, it did. So I might just do that instead.
There. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I got that.
But yeah, so I'm kind of on that track with Psychonauts 2 right now where it's like I've played a handful of hours at this point, but I just need the hook to get into me to start just like plowing through the game. Mm-hmm. It's a great game though.
Yeah, it's an excellent game. And I'm so happy that platformers are kind of making a comeback as like AAA big budget games with this and Ratchet and Clank earlier this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. I hope that it is realized by the industry as something that is an option. Mm-hmm. Like I fear that, you know, some big exec is going to be like, hey, it's all platformers now, baby. And then
you got to dust off Blinks the cat. Come on, let's go.
Got to get him back. Let's go Blinks too.
Gex 2022.
I don't know what that would even look like. I have no idea.
You don't want to know.
I think I don't want to know.
Yeah. Know.
I don't want to invite that curse into
There's
my
just
home.
going to be like random memes floating around in the air in the game.
It would be memes.
It would be memes. Be a lot. No. It would all be memes.
Unfortunately enough, I bet it would be like Rage comics, like 2010 ancient, just
like not even relevant memes.
Like, no, yeah.
Oh, shitty memes.
Advice animals and shit like that.
Oh God. Anyways, if you like advice animals, I apologize.
It's just it's a very old meme at this point.
Yeah, it's a very old meme, and unlike the meme, it doesn't check out.
Finishing a video game? Ain't nobody got time for that. That's my Gex in 2021.
He would say that. He would say that. I got bronchitis.
Oh my God. So yeah, I hope the industry doesn't say like, okay, let's keep doing platformers. Because I think like if you want to make one like Insomniac and Double Fine did, that you can make a really good one. I just don't want it to become kind of the standard. Like we've already been there, and that's what led us to Gex and Blinks.
Yeah, right.
And like we don't have to do that anymore.
We've been down this dark road before.
And I will say the platforming in Ratchet and Clank felt a lot better than in Psychonauts. Like
yeah,
I almost don't know that you need it in Psychonauts. Like it's fun.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't seem like it's just seems tacked on.
Yeah, like that's not the main part of the game for me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other stuff with just sort of exploring and wandering around and like wandering through people's minds is like much better.
Yeah. Although I guess, I mean, once you start exploring the outside world more, you definitely have to be platforming quite a bit. Maybe you'll feel different after you explore that area because that is definitely like use all those tools you've just learned inside the mother lobe and then go out and use them to explore and find things.
Sure. Yeah, totally. But yeah, no, good game. I'm stoked on it too.
Good game.
What else have you been playing?
I have also been playing
Madden NFL 2021.
Wow. Look at us. We got a sports gamer
I'm
over
a
here.
Sportsman.
David Dabian, the basketball ghoul, has returned.
Oh no. He's been vanquished to the depths of hell. And oh my God. Just a quick aside, not to be a nasty boy too much, but I saw that in the newest NBA 2K, Jake from State Farm is in it.
I saw that, yeah.
And he's like not in there as a joke. He's in there. It's just like, hey, it's me, Jake from State Farm. You love me, right? State Farm. It's great.
Man.
Like, oh, God. It pains me. It pains me. And it pains me even more because they're making EA look good. EA does the same stuff in their game, just not as just blatantly awful.
Absolutely.
But it's still kind of like a breath of fresh air compared to 2K. And man, look how they've massacred my boy. My God.
I think we can reserve a spot on this podcast, this normally fairly optimistic about video games podcast, for your like capitalist frustration at 2K, because it's pretty rough in there
so
from what it seems. It seems pretty rough.
It's so bad.
If the issue is that like the game was maybe ill-conceived or rushed or something, like, you know, we never want to get mad at devs, but if it's just like people wanted to make more money because capitalism, like we can do a little minor dunk at Jump 2K for that one.
Yeah. It's just, oh man, it takes a lot of energy just to not like boom shakalaka on them, you know, and just triple dunk NBA street them to the moon.
When you're putting in the character that they've made
Jake from State Farm
about an insurance company into a video game about basketball. It's one of the hardest things in video game podtimism not to just open up our
so
dunk
hard.
flow.
It's so hard. Yeah, I haven't been asked to memorize selling points for a product, for a real world product in this game
yet. The back of the
yet.
box information for Beats headphones.
Yeah. I haven't been asked to be a company man yet. It's just been football stuff, which I'm okay with. And it's like, you know, you have the product placement that's like already in football in the game.
Sure.
Which just,
that stuff really doesn't
which is
bother me,
fine.
yeah.
Like stadium names, like the presented by whatever at the beginning of the game. It's like, oh, that's actually just who the sponsor is for the NFL. So the NFL's probably like, put them in there.
It's not dissonant to what happens in a real football game. Like that happens. Yeah. And that's kind of part of it.
And it's not like my character interacting with them and being like, oh yeah, this guy's awesome. Yeah. I'm like, don't you put those words in my mouth. Don't you put those words in my mouth.
I, Dobby and the football ghoul, love
Subway.
But yeah, that's kind of how it feels like that they're trying to turn you into in 2K. But Madden NFL 2021, at least, as I can report, much better in that regard. I created a character. I have a handlebar mustache and a mohawk.
No.
Yeah.
Dobby and the football punk.
Football punk. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Love that. Got a little bit of a Lemmy from Motorhead vibe to you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got drafted to the Raiders as quarterback. So it's fun. I haven't played Madden probably since like 2008, 9.
Yeah,
a long time, like since high school. And they've really like when you jump from like a decade of Madden, then I think it feels an appropriate improvement.
Yeah, there's a lot that's happened. Yeah,
like they've really improved their collision detecting, they've really improved their graphics, they've really improved like the feel of the game, but you know, it still has that excitement of like, okay, I have like 3 to 5 seconds to figure out where to throw this ball and not like fuck up royally. Which is just a fun gameplay loop.
I was just going to say, we talked about this a little bit in like our sports episode, I think, about like what sports games we liked.
Yeah.
You enjoy football outside of this video game, but what's the draw for you?
I think I was thinking about it more of why it's so engaging to me. And it really is when you're playing as the quarter, or which is when you're on offense. I don't really care for the defense because you feel like you have just less control because you're really only controlling one character, whereas on offense you're either the running back or the quarterback, and then you pass it and you're the receiver, so you really feel like you're in it.
Yeah, you're playing the whole thing.
You're playing the whole thing. But what it is that, you know, you make your play call and then you look at the defense, right? And it becomes essentially a puzzle, like a visual puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You read the defense and you go, okay, seeing these routes, my guy's going to be open in like this one small little window here, probably.
Yeah.
Like if this player drops back, he'll be open. But if the player rushes me, this other guy's going to be open and it's going to be a huge gain. And you have to think about all these different variables that are happening in real time, or like before you do it in real time. And you know, you can have a good idea of what's going to happen, or at least assume things are going to happen a certain way, but you know, sometimes the game like fools you and like someone looks like they're going to blitz, but then they drop back into coverage and you throw an interception and she's like, you got me, you bastard. So it's like this visual puzzle of like finding out who's going to be open where and when, and then it's a timing thing as well, where you know, you snap the ball and then you have to really time the pass correctly based off of what is happening in real time. So, you can throw the pass behind the receiver, in front of them, low, high, depending on, where the defender is in relation to them, even if they are a little bit open. Like if you throw it behind them a little bit, maybe it's going to be, you can do a spin move and like go upfield for a bigger gain, as opposed to just like throwing a bullet past them right there and they just get hit immediately and potentially becomes an incompletion because they get hit when you hit to catch the pass, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the running, right? Because the running, you have to, once again, read the defense and see like, okay, this is where my guy is supposed to run. How many people are there? Who are my players there? How good are they at run blocking? Can I put someone else in motion? Can I tell another character or player to like go and help run block over here if I think that it's going to be kind of dicey? And then of course you can always just change individual players' routes. You can change the whole play. You can call a timeout. It's just, there's a lot of choices and options of what to do. And it is within a certain time constraint of about usually like 40 seconds. You have to make all these decisions.
Yeah. It's fast.
Yeah, it's slow, but it's fast if you're really trying to like figure things out. And play it like in the simulation mode, which is like more realistic and difficult way of doing it, because it's just more engaging that way. Because you can put like this difficulty down way low and just like throw tutters, no problem. And if you like that, that's great. But
that's my difficulty.
I just find this way more engaging.
You're playing football Dark Souls is what's going on.
I'm playing football Dark Souls. I got fucked the other day. I threw like 5 interceptions. It was bad. And then my coach just like ripped into me afterwards. I'm like, I'm sorry, coach. I'm like, man, if my character was a real person, he would be cut. The Twitter would be clowning him for the rest of his life. He would probably have to go to therapy because he would just think I'm a useless piece of garbage because the internet is so mean. But yeah, I find it very engaging, like mentally, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like the mastery over the mechanics of the game are like really the thing that you're there for. Yeah. Rather than like, any sort of, I don't know, like story or anything like that. Like that's not a part of it.
Yeah, the story is like whatever. It's just the typical sports game, my franchise, face of the franchise, whatever it is mode.
Yeah.
But this one was funny because there's your rival is also like your best friend.
Gary.
He's Gary. Tommy Matthews.
Wow, that is a rival if I've ever heard
I know, right? Tommy.
Sorry, all the Tommy Matthews who listen.
Tommy Matt. And it was like one of the first cutscenes in the game. He's the starting quarterback in high school and you're the backup. And he comes out of the game and he's like, kind of looks fatigued. Yeah. And your team is down like big during homecoming and your character comes over and is like, what's going on, man? Come on, like get going. Like you're playing like you have no heart out there. And he's like, don't you talk about my heart. And he's like, what, man? You're just like not playing well. He's like, I have a heart condition. I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh Jesus. That's rough.
It was funny the way that they delivered it. It's a serious subject matter, don't get me wrong.
Just like the absurdity of like out of nowhere just laying that on you.
Don't you ever talk about my heart.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
We're not talking about your physical heart, Tommy. It's your drive.
It's your come on, dude. That's not what
we're talking about. It was funny.
Yeah. Although perhaps an understandable reaction for a high schooler.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's losing a football game.
Right. But one thing I do appreciate about the story is that it presents your rival as also a good friend of yours, which I appreciate that they are able to make a story with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's not a common thing to see in any media. And I think personally that we kind of need a little bit more of that in the world. Just because you are competing for something against somebody else doesn't mean they are your enemy necessarily.
Yeah, sure. That doesn't mean you have to kill.
You don't have to kill them. You don't have to just, see them as this other thing that is trying to take what you want. So I appreciate that energy in the game.
For sure.
But it's a fun game. It's good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I've been playing.
A paltry list, but some good stuff in there.
I was out of town over the weekend.
Sure. Hey, man, sometimes the 2-game lineup, I also only have 2 games, but I have so many things about these video games that I need to talk about.
This is like a John Stockton, Karl Malone 2-man lineup. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't. What is the reference you just made?
John Stockton and Karl Malone were 2 exceptional basketball players who played for the Utah Jazz.
Okay. Yeah.
But they were a formidable 2-man duo for the Jazz for many, many years.
Yeah, it seems like maybe a little while ago.
It was a while ago. They are classic, Chase, please. They're classic.
Wow. What a reference. to take me into the section of me talking about video games. David, I need to tell you about Warioware and a JRPG that I'm playing. The hardest whiplash. I have been playing 2 video games. One of them is Warioware Get It Together for the Nintendo Switch.
Is that already out?
That is out. I was also a little surprised.
Goodness, that is
whoa,
fast. Hey. Like I feel like it was just announced like a week ago.
Yeah, I think it was E3 that they showed it off, but I was excited about this game because I love Warioware, and I have for quite some time. Yeah, good franchise, good some good stock in these video games. This one it's got a couple of wrinkles in it of just things that they've changed. So let me back up. The way that Warioware games play out for those who haven't played them, it's essentially just a collection of like very fast micro games that they throw at you one right after the other. And then once you've played a certain amount of them, that constitutes like a level. Usually they're all themed around something different. Yeah, like eventually once you beat all those like sort of levels, you can go back and, you know, reach for high scores or go and try and unlock other shit, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the game. It's not super complicated, right? So like the one of the micro games could be, you know, you're a little dude who's trying to throw like a ring around a hoop or something like that. Like really simple shit, right? Or just like not get hit by arrows or something. And those are all like things that happen. The big wrinkle here in this game is that you control one of many characters. So imagine the classic game of Warioware where your micro game is pick the nose. That's one in, yeah, it's like, it's quintessential Warioware. There's like a pinky just floating across left and right on the screen. You have to hit A at the right moment to shove the pinky in the nose. And that is
what kind of monster picks their nose with their pinky finger?
Got to be real dexterous. The ninjas among us.
No. Pinky finger is actually one of the least dexterous fingers, Chase.
So here's the part where I would challenge you if you weren't a literal like hand expert.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna skip on past that bit. But the change here is that you are in these situations before you load out into a full level. You choose like one of any of the Warioware characters. So Wario or Mona or 8-Volt or
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy's another one. There's a bunch. There's I think like
Nana.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 little ninja girls. There's a bunch of them. They all control a little differently. So Warioware has a jetpack that you can just move around in any direction. I think it's 8-Volt, 9-Volt, whatever his name is, the kid. He is on a skateboard and he's constantly moving back and forth. And the only interaction that you can use is with his yo-yo that shoots directly up. And so when you're playing through these mini games, it'll just randomly give you one of the 3 that you've chosen for a certain level. For the micro games, you're suddenly playing as that character, right? So if we take the example of the picking the nose, if you're Warioware, you just jetpack up into the nose. If you are 9-Volt, you have to like shoot your yo-yo up into it. If you're Mona, she's on like a hover bike. She can just sort of like move into it, but it's a little bit harder to control. And initially I was really worried about this because I was concerned that it was all going to be just Wario who's just on his jetpack and like the game started feeling very samey.
Sure.
I think a lot of what makes the games fun is the like very quick difference in how the games function. Whereas like Wario's moving pretty much the same in each one.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they give you more characters very quickly. Like you're given a bunch of different ways to interact with it very quickly. But I think that that experience of knowing exactly how you're going to interact with these mini games for me sort of takes away from it a little bit. Like the joy of just the like random curveball that they throw you.
Yeah.
A new game isn't quite there. And it also makes balancing these mini games very difficult. So there's another one where it's in like Animal Crossing and there's like a little balloon that's hovering above like a river or something like that. And your job is to wait until it gets over to the other side and hit the balloon and have it drop down and the other person get it, right? Like it's pretty simple. With somebody like 9-Volt, that's kind of hard because you're constantly moving in the skateboard left and right, left and right, left and right. And it kind of takes a second to get up there and shoot it at the right timing. And so it's challenging. If you're pretty much any of the characters that can just move in whatever direction, you kind of just wait until it's over there and then just go and hit it. And so like the challenge aspect of it is not always there.
Yeah.
Which makes it sort of a weird experience. I I don't want to come down on it like I don't like this. I think it's just different than what it was before.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've found myself a lot less like just laughing at the game. Like usually when I'm playing Warioware, I'm kind of just like, this is hilarious. I can't believe they've thrown this thing at me. Whereas at this point, it's almost mechanical. Like I'm playing through a level and like, I'm like, okay, I have this person. Let me look at the game. Okay, I pressed the button, I did it. And like, it's just a lot more straightforward in that way. So I don't know where I come down on it. It's not like the instant joy that the Game Boy games typically are, which is something. But it feels like a console Warioware game. I feel like most of the console games that they usually put out have some twist in them that it's always a little weird.
Yeah.
It's never been just like a classic straight down the middle Warioware game.
Yeah, it's always been a tiny bit different. But all of them since the first one have had some sort of gimmick, right? Because they had the Twisted that had the gyroscope in it,
which was really good.
I did enjoy it.
I think they made really good use of Twisted.
Yeah.
And I think even WarioWare Gold, the one that I played recently on the DS, like I think the touchscreen works pretty well for that. Like there's a pretty good mechanic there that I think they took advantage of really well. But I'm sort of more mixed on this one. I still think there's like very much classic WarioWare stuff that's like, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and like the off the wall sort of characterization that they do is still there. It's still present. So like that part of it is great. All of I think it's 9-Volt, the kid, all of his mini games are phenomenal. They're so much fun. It's like the classic Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And they like make you do a little bit. There's one where like it loads you up into what looks like a screen out of Breath of the Wild. And you have to hit a box that's been frozen in time.
Really?
By his like, freeze ability and then just hitting it enough times to make it just fly across the screen. Stasis, yes, correct. You're the real gamer, David.
That's why I'm the face, right?
That is true. People know your game cred from your face.
My God. Your gamer score dwarfs mine, my God.
I've put many years since the launch of the 360.
Is that how long
that's the same one?
All of them?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'm never catching that.
You will find my achievements from Perfect Dark Zero in that account.
Oh yeah, I still have this. I have the same. I just got this new account. I just made this one.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think WarioWare is fun, but this one I think is not like among my like top 5 or whatever. But it's still like it's still a joyous experience overall.
Yeah. I'm glad you played this one, because looking at the trailers for it and when I saw that that's what they were doing with the mini games, I was somewhat concerned as well. Like part of what it takes away like half of what makes the mini games entertaining, which is the uncertainty about how you actually control it.
Yeah, you have no idea what's coming around the corner.
Right?
Like absolutely no idea.
Whereas this is, you say you choose like 3 characters for the round, and then you just switch randomly between them.
Exactly, yeah, and it gives you kind of a heads up, like this is the person you're about to control, which like is fair, right? Like you need to know which of the people are about to spawn on the next minigame. Yeah. But if you sort of like know what the next minigame is, or you've played it before, or you've played it as these people, it's pretty easy. Like it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing, I think. I think just the essence of what I go to for a WarioWare game is a little bit lessened by that. But yeah, I'm still playing it, so like it's not can't be that bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, that's all fine and good. That's great. There's another game in my life right now.
What is it?
It's the video game called Tales of Arise.
Oh, you've been playing a Tales game.
I have been playing a Tales game.
Did you ever play any others like Tales of Symphonia or anything like that?
Great question. I played 2 of the Tales games before. I have played Symphonia and another one, Vesperia, were the 2 that I've played. This is a long series, by the way. I looked up how long they've been making these games, since 1995.
Whoa.
This is the 17th Tales game.
Oh my God.
They've made a lot of these video games. So this was not on my radar at all. I think I knew tangentially that this game was like coming out this year maybe, but like wasn't tracking it, wasn't like looking and whatever. And like on, I think last week, some of the like review embargoes lifted. People could start putting out their reviews. And like across the board, they were like, this is fucking crazy good. Like this is a really good video game. I was like, okay. And I read, I think it was like the Game Informer review or something like that. Not an outlet I reach for very often, but like they just had their review up. And I think they gave it like, I know numbers are fucking stupid, but I think they gave it like a 9 or something like that. And I read through their review, and like the way that they were describing it, I was like, okay, geez, like this game seems like it has a lot going on. And picked it up on Friday. and I think I put 15 hours into it since.
Whoa.
It's currently Tuesday when we're recording this.
Nice.
I can't stop playing this fucking video game. It's so good. The Tales of Arise.
Okay.
Shockingly good.
Okay. But I've never played any of these games.
Yeah, so like the story of the other ones was not super captivating. Like it was fine, right? Like it wasn't bad by any measure, but it really didn't pull me along that hard. And I think in thinking about this game and a lot of other games of the like, I think pacing is usually what the issue is there for me specifically. Like I think I am way westernized in the way that I expect a game to be paced. And I think JRPGs often challenge that. I think the pacing in JRPGs is often very slow. And that's not to say either one is good or bad. Just like typically JRPGs are really long games and oftentimes punctuated with sections of kind of slow and like not trivial, but stuff that doesn't necessarily build to the larger plot, right? Like it is sort of like stage setting and it builds the world and like other things are going on that it's important to, but it's not necessarily like, here's the story of this video game that we're trying to tell. And, you know, when you compare that to, you know, fucking, I don't know, the most Western game, like Uncharted or something like that, like at every moment they are pushing towards you're either in a scene where you're fighting dudes or the story is playing out. Like there's very little like downtime in those games. Again, not that either of those is good or bad, but I think I'm very used to the Western sort of game dev style of it, where it is much faster. Again, not to say there aren't RPGs coming out of the West that are also kind of like that, but I think you see it more often in the JRPGs than you don't. I have enjoyed stuff like Final Fantasy. I've enjoyed Chrono Trigger. Great fucking JRPG. The Fire Emblem games, I think you could call that a JRPG.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same thing. It's like a classic
tactical
style
RPG.
Of that. Yeah, but the you know, it's in the similar vein.
Yeah.
Persona 5 fucking totally rips. And I think Persona, you could even say like is a little bit more standard to that pace of it's a little bit slower. And like that's what's good about Persona is that it is like so intentional with like just go hang out and like do the life stuff. Like that's a really important part. And I think they nailed it, which is like the thing that really works for me. However, in the past, the Tales games have been kind of like that. You know, it'll take you 10, 15 hours to just like get like, what is this game doing? Like, where are we going? It does a lot of stage setting of like, here's the main characters, here's the place they live in. None of this is really all that big of a deal yet. Maybe they have a little bit of some quest that's going on, but nothing crazy, you know, like, oh, you got to go over to this other town. Some person showed up, or there's a princess that maybe you need to hang out with or something, but like nothing that dire.
Yeah.
Tales of Arise opens and is like, hey, no, we're moving right now. It is high stakes nearly immediately. The setup of the game is essentially that there, and like I was not expecting this either, but the setup of the game is that there are these two twin planets that live next to each other, Rena and Danum, I believe.
Is this in all the Tales series?
No, this is I think just specific to this one. And Danum, the way they explain it, used to be this like pretty prosperous and peaceful place. At some point, Reyna had like developed technologically super far past where Danum was. And I think it was like 300 years ago or something like that. They came and invaded and essentially just enslaved the entire planet.
Shit.
Made them like these, you know, mostly workers. And yeah, the planet of Danum, or at least as you've been exposed to it so far, is essentially consisting of these 5 nations, I guess you could call them. And they're all run by these like 5 lords who choose to rule those places very differently. And all of them sort of extract this energy from the land in order to essentially run for president. Like they determine a sovereign that way. And so you're placed into this world as this guy named Iron Mask, who has a big mask over his head, and kind of typical JRPG, has amnesia, doesn't know who he is.
Oh wow.
You just gotta,
yeah.
and I also rolled my eyes a little bit, but like that's pretty much where a lot of the JRPG tropes stop.
My heart.
It like starts approaching there, but there are a few other like wrinkles that are kind of typical like JRPG stuff that's very tropey, but that's pretty much it. that part of it, I'm like, okay, like I'll buy into this and see if the game has some other shit to offer, which it really does. You are placed into, oh God, what is the name of it? It's essentially just like the Fire Nation in Avatar.
Oh shit.
Just this like hellscape, right?
Oh.
Like it sucks where he lives.
Oh man.
You show up and it is this like mining nation essentially that's just ruled by fire. Everything is on fucking fire all the time. It is though. Yeah, no, it's all just like all the people in this area are just like mining shit and like just on the verge of death, right? Like all these Danims, like they are not in good shape. And the sort of inciting incident is that there's this like group that shows up as you're like working this train system in this area. There's this group that shows up and blows a train off its tracks and finds this girl inside, and they try and bust her out. You have no idea what any of this means at the moment, but essentially like it's sort of hinted at that maybe Iron Mask is like, fuck this, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. And you get wrapped up into this like conflict really quickly. There's this like rebellion group that's being led by this dude named Zephyr, is trying to essentially overthrow the lord of this like nation. Whoa. And he's like, the only way we can do that is we have to go kick his ass and destroy the wall that separates us from the other nations. There's this huge, just like molten fucking mountain wall that they've constructed with a big fucking skull on it. That is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Tight. It's so cool. That to keep the people in, essentially, like we can't let you go, and so you get stuck in this nation. Whoa. And the sort of wrinkle, or one of the twists on it, is that your character Iron Mask is like unsure what his past is, but he can't feel pain at all, and the girl that they pick up, Shion, if you touch her, you're just immediately enveloped in like this electric sort of magic that erupts from her. And so they have no idea who they are. She's also a Renin, which is like from the other planet, and typically the people who enslave all the Danims. So like almost everybody is like, fuck this person, I don't like her, she's like one of the others, like this sucks. And Zephyr is like convinced like, no, we have to, like, she's a critical part of how we overthrow the lord here. And the game just does not stop with that story. Like just over and over and over again hits you with like one major plot beat after the next. I'm 15 hours in and I just cannot stop playing this. Like it's so big in sort of the tale it's weaving, and like I said, the pacing is just, to me, really enjoyable. Like it's hitting one thing after the next, and so I'm really pulled along, and it's demanding that I figure out what happens next in a way that's so nice. I haven't even explained how you play this game.
I was about to say, what is the combat like? Yeah,
so the combat, it's typical for these Tales games. Essentially what happens is that you'll see like somebody on the map, right, and you'll run into them and it'll trigger combat. And you'll get plunked into this like circular sort of arena area. And the combat's pretty like active. You have essentially just like a combo that you can do as your character Iron Mask of like, swinging your sword a couple of times. And then you have a bunch of abilities that you start out with. There's like 2 or 3 of them. And they're just sort of like a big slash, a bigger slash, and then one slash that'll knock people into the air. And then, you can kind of follow up and Kingdom Hearts style, just like swing at them while you're in the air.
Sure.
Initially, it's pretty simple, right? Like you're just kind of hitting them. You'll run out of, essentially you have these like ability points that you'll just sort of use, and they refill immediately. It's like you have 3 in the beginning, and you'll use your abilities. 3 of them will run out, and then they just immediately start like coming back. And so the way that the combat sort of encourages you to do is like just use a lot of shit and try and find like a good combo, essentially. Like you'll immediately realize like, okay, if I knock them in the air, I can do a bunch of damage. I can follow up with something that knocks them back down onto the ground, and then follow up with some more shit, and then like do some kind of like strong move at the end, which will allow me to sort of like dodge away and run away. And so it almost plays out like a Platinum game, right? Like it kind of feels like a Bayonetta or a Nier or like a Devil May Cry or something like that.
Sure.
And the way that they add complexities, they start adding more characters, you get a ton of abilities. So you start being able to like experiment with like, okay, I can only load 3 of them into my character at a time for a battle, and let me figure out which of these works best for me. And so initially it's quite simple, but eventually turns into this like kind of cool puzzle where you're using all these abilities to chain one into the other. And eventually, if you have like essentially a big enough combo, you can do these like finishing moves where it just like kills the enemy, which look so fucking cool. It's like just incredibly, it's like so deeply anime, but looks great.
Sure.
And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the combat goes. Cool. I think the interesting parts of it are how each character plays. You can sort of switch between them. Iron Mask is very much like sword and hit. That's his jam.
Sure.
Shion has this like rifle that she uses that like she can essentially just like pull it out of the ether whenever it's cool. That's and when she's done with combat, she just sort of drops it and it like fades back into wherever she's holding it. It's very good.
That's cool.
It's really good stuff. And so, you know, she's a lot more like ranged attacks and her abilities are a lot like more focused on enemies who go in the air. And then, yeah, just like once you start unlocking more characters, it progresses from there. It's so fucking good, this video game. I think it is a combination of the really good pacing. The fucking voice actors are really good. I think in JRPGs a lot of the time, like I just will switch over to the Japanese voice cast because it sounds more convincing. Like, yeah, I'm reading what they're saying, but the way that they're saying it is more convincing than the American actors who are like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's so convincing. Like they really are able to like convey a lot in the way that they're saying this shit. And so the voice acting is really good. The writing is like, it's here and there, right? Like I think the overall writing of the whole story is good. Sometimes it'll approach some anime stuff. But it's not nearly as frequent as any other game in JRPGs.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still good. And like like I was saying, there's a couple of like anime stuff that happens in the battle. The people will constantly just be shouting whatever ability they're using. So like if you use Demon Fang, Iron Mask will say Demon Fang while he's like shooting it.
Buster
and like
Cannon!
Exactly. It's very Dragon Ball Z. It's very My Hero Academia or One Punch Man where they like say the thing they're doing.
Say the name of the attack.
It's goofy right up until you see one of these finishing moves where it's just like the coolest shit you have ever seen.
Yep.
There's one, I won't go into too much, but essentially Shion throws up a few bullets in the air and one of the other characters that you unlock has like fire powers and does this like roundhouse kick in the air and just kicks the bullet down. It blows up on the characters. Like it's so fucking cool.
Okay.
So yeah, I think the way the game plays out, the voice acting, what it's saying is also fucking crazy. Like something that I did not expect coming into it. It has a lot to say about like power structures and like the history of people. I think most of what it's talking about on just like a personal layer is about like redemption and how somebody goes about living their life if they are a flawed person or if they had a flawed history, and like dealing with that and trying to make like the best decision you can. But like, I think in the A plot, like the Danons are literally called slaves. Like that is their role in this game. And so like that is, I think, treated with as much like respect, I think, as it demands. And there's a lot of shit in there that they're saying, like a lot of stuff about like cultural racism and like how if you just like destroy someone's history, like what that means, and essentially how those two like people can interact and the power structures that develop as a result of that. And like that's crazy. That's a lot of shit going on in a fucking like anime JRPG.
That's a lot.
You know? Yeah, it's a lot. So like I just cannot get enough of this right now. I am in a place or a world where the sort of typical beats that they're leading you up to believe that are going to happen next, they just subvert it immediately. And it just leads to this really interesting place where it's like I don't really know what they're going to do because I've only experienced like 2 worlds at this point that have gone a certain way. It's really fucking good. I'm totally hooked.
All right.
Can't stop playing it.
What are you playing it on?
I'm playing it on PlayStation 5. It also looks incredible. They've managed to get like this nearly like watercolor kind of palette to it.
Ooh.
And like it's anime-ish, right? So sometimes it looks very anime, but like you'll come around a corner sometimes and like the vistas that you're presented with are just stunning. Like absolutely wild stuff. The like world building just visually is so cool. Like I was saying, the fucking big like lava wall that these people have constructed is just like so cool. It looks so neat.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really loving this game. This was such a shock. I'm still sort of like I'm surprised that this is the opinion that I have about this game, and surprised that the game is this good, period. It's immediately on sort of like the best of the year list for me. Like it's shocking. I know.
All right.
I can't say enough nice things about it. I'm sure I'll have more to say next week, but geez, it's phenomenal.
To give this one a look.
It's pretty good. I like if you're into this at all, like I'm just speaking to you, like I think you would enjoy it.
I like
the combating It's engaging. The combat's engaging. The story is really cool. Moves fast enough that you're like, okay, I know what's happening here. And I think it is anime in the way that you would enjoy. Like,
okay.
After you beat the first boss, it immediately launches into like a half English, half Japanese intro song.
Oh,
That's just it's very extra and like good. I was like laughing at it the whole time, but I'm like, no, I think I'm actually here for this. I think that was
you were laughing with it.
I thought I was laughing at it, but I was laughing with it. Yeah, that's correct.
Hell yeah. Okay. I'm gonna check this one out.
It's worth it. So anyway, this will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Yeah.
It's the Nintendo GameCube, my friend.
The GameCube?
It's the GameCube.
My goodness.
The GameCube turns 20 this week.
Whoa.
And I was just reflecting on how good of a console the Nintendo GameCube was. It's got a bunch of heaters, really good games on the GameCube.
Sure does.
Couple of real good video games. Sunshine, phenomenal. Loved Luigi's Mansion. Was the launch console of Resident Evil 4. Absolutely great game.
Sure was. God, that's a good game.
It's a very good game. Tales of Symphonia, I think, was the one on GameCube. Phenomenal. Also Melee. Can't leave out Melee.
Wind Waker.
Whew, good one. Also a very good controller. I'm like really into the GameCube controller.
I don't know if it's years of Smash have just made me love the GameCube controller, or if it like actually works for other games well. But yeah, I do like the GameCube controller.
I think just like ergonomically, it makes sense to have the main button be bigger than the other ones.
It does. And
the A button is huge on that controller, and the B is a little bit smaller. The trigger's very big, X and Y are smaller and sort of up a little bit, because like you're not going to be using those all the time, but like you're going to be pressing A. Here's the big A button.
Yeah. The only thing that doesn't make sense is the nub. Like for a third-person game, the nub ain't cutting it. But
you're talking about the C stick?
The C. You know what I mean by when I say nub. Come on.
Yeah. It's not very good. It doesn't feel great. It's like I like how taut it is. Like that's nice, but really only for Smash Brothers. The rest of it's not great.
Yeah. I feel like the Series S should have a handlebar like the Switch did.
And you can just carry it around.
Yeah. It's so tiny and light. I feel like that should be the energy that they're going for.
But yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the GameCube. I loved it. I played it a lot. I was shocked that people didn't like it.
Silly.
Very silly. Love the form factor. Love the intro music. Very good. Very good intro music. Like maybe we should leave that for a bit at some point. But I think best console intro songs, it's up there.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of all of them. PlayStation 2 is bad. It's just like, ooh, Audacity is not happy. PlayStation 1 was okay.
I mean, PS2 was just,
yeah, and like that intro song. I like the extra, the little like tingly chimes that they have in the background at the end of the PlayStation 1. Like that one.
The PS1 sound, it sounds like how ASMR feels on your neck, when you get those little tinglies.
The PlayStation 1 intro song feels like what it smells like to go to a relative's house that you haven't been to in 20 years, but it still smells the same. Like, oh my God.
This still exists unchanged.
Yeah. I would like some Appy slices now, please.
Appy slices.
Yeah, I love the GameCube. Good console. David, do you have something fueling your sense of Podtimism?
I do.
Can you tell me about it?
It's just the Sony State of Play, baby.
Oh, yeah. They had that recently.
Yeah, there were some heaters in there.
There was some good stuff. I liked what they showed.
I love the God of War trailer.
Yeah,
that
really
looks
into
great.
God of War.
I'm so excited for that. It's not the same game director, but it still looks amazing.
It looks quite good. I think they've got enough of like, we're going to hit this tone well enough that like, I think it'll be all right.
It's also the last one they're going to do in the Norse mythology.
Yes, I was kind of stoked about this.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes there's always in a trilogy, one is bad and two are good. Or not, one is just not as good as the other two, I should say.
Yeah, rarely is it just one and then two and then done. And that's it.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
No, me too. I like that a lot. That like, also it doesn't feel like they're gonna drag their feet around like telling the story.
Yeah, they're just gonna get into it, which I'm into. Don't beat around the bush. Get in the bush, man. Get in the bush. Sorry. Anyways, KOTOR remake, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, holy shit! Really excited about that one.
That's going to be fun. Ground up
I'm
rebuild.
hoping so, yeah.
I'm hoping it's good.
Me too.
Those are the two that really stood out to me personally. Anything else that you're looking at right now that stood out to you?
Yeah, so I personally am excited for Gran Turismo 7.
Oh,
I think I'm one of like 3 people want to play this game. Just because of like Forza's like domination over the racing game.
They really
like
just
landscape
took over.
And it makes sense. It's a very fun video game, but I kind of like Gran Turismo in the way that they give you a lot of different cars and you can drive just like real clunkers. I love that about Gran Turismo. They're like, yeah, we're going to let you drive like a garbage truck if you want to. Like, that's great. I love that. And like always, the most fun part of racing games for me is not driving the Bugattis. It's driving the like Miata, like just like the very low end kind of normal car.
Let me drive my 2001 Chevy Malibu SE.
Please, I want that. And so I love that stuff. That's very exciting to like have to get the most out of a very regular car. Tune it to like, I need like 3 more horsepower to win this race.
Are you going to get whatever peripheral they send out?
I'm tempted, man. The most fun I had with the Gran Turismo, I had bought like a steering wheel for the PlayStation 2. And it was so good. It was like a Logitech steering wheel that like kind of pushed against you. It felt really good. So I'm very tempted to get one of those things again. The Spider-Man 2 looks great. With Venom.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2
That
looks
looks
Venom.
phenomenal.
And Kraven the Hunter.
Very excited.
Sounded like, yeah.
Also the Wolverine game. They have shown nothing yet.
That's right.
But thrilled about that.
But it's made by Insomniac, so I'm excited.
That's what I'm saying.
So you know it's at least going to be decent.
Oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on there that I'm pretty thrilled about. And yeah, like you said, God of War, man, it's just going to be so good. I realize that like this is probably not everybody's bag, but like God of War just meant so much to me. It's such a good game, like to my person and my personal game enjoyment that like it's so good.
It's pretty much the Chase and Rabalbi relationship simulator.
It's me and my dad going around fucking Midgar. So like it's so effective for me.
Yeah, as you see the part in the trailer where Atreus is saying, "Stop thinking like a dad, and start thinking like a general," and he turns around like, "No." Just super firm, like, oh god.
Yeah, Dad's mad. That's great. Dad's mad. Yeah, no, I'm excited. The state of play was good. I'm excited that they're doing this, like that enough Sony or Nintendo Directs have been effective enough for Sony to be like, yeah, actually, let's do that too.
Yeah.
Because these come out of nowhere sometimes. They're like, hey, we're doing one now.
It's fun, but I kind of miss the E3, just explosion of information. But this is still good too. Just like a random week of the year. It's just, all these games are coming out.
Yeah, it's good. I think it sort of encourages studios to play a little bit more to their own schedule, which helps. It's not always the case. Like you still hear about stories where, we had to prep for E3 and we had to get a trailer out. I think Anthem was like that.
Yeah.
But I think that conceptually you could just kind of show stuff when you're ready, which is good. Hey, you, David, do you want to move on to our main thing?
I didn't catch that. What'd you say?
Hey, you, David. Do you want to move on to the main thing?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
Pikachu.
David Chu.
Hello, it's Good Games. It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and then gush all the things that we love about them. Plain, simple and clean. That's it. Had a lot of descriptions about this segment before? No.
We're beyond descriptions now. You know what it is. Now. You know
just
what
hang
it is.
out. Hang out with us and talk about these weird old games that were fine, but we actually love something about them.
Yeah, this is an old game now.
This one's quite old. I don't even know how this came up, thinking about doing this game, but
I think you just started reading off the different games that we had thought about a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we're just like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Let's do that one now.
I think this one's kind of always been in the back of my head of something we could do, and so I think it makes sense to just do it now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good example of this type of game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're going to talk about Hey You Pikachu for the Nintendo 64.
The classic.
The classic, much heralded GamePro's best game of 2000. Let me hit you with a few hot stats about Hey You Pikachu, David.
Sweats.
Hot swats. Hot SWAT hats.
SWAT hats.
Hot stats.
Hey You Pikachu came out November 6th of 2000. It's 21. 21 years old.
Wow.
It was developed by Umbrella, which made a bunch of other Pokemon video games. Namely Pokemon Rumble, Pokemon Rumble U, Pokemon Rumble Blast, and all the other Pokemon Rumbles.
Pokemon Rumble franchise, huh?
Yeah. And of course, Hey You Pikachu. It seems like they're just like the Pokemon contractor.
Cool.
Let's see. I have a review of Hey You Pikachu from our singular friend over at the Video Game Critic. Joe Video did not have a hand on this ball this time. Joe was not present at the table.
Sorry, Joe. You're out this week.
I have taken the review from the Video Game Critic. I've run it through Google Translate a bunch of times for every language that I could find.
Okay.
And then spat it back out in English. So I've mangled their review. Sorry, Video Game Critic, but we do this to try and get at the heart of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let me read you what their review said. Frankly, I do not think that Pikachu does that. Hi, you, Pikachu, you spelled Y-U, seems to be trying to pick an orange, but it takes a lot of effort. But it is possible for him. Sorry to look back. With its extensive text, powerful interface, Hey Pikachu is probably my favorite game of all time.
Hey Pikachu.
They did give this one a 0 out of 100, and so I think that last sentence was mistranslated a little.
They gave it a 0?
This was a 0. This was the bottom review.
My God. They fucking hated it.
Did not like this video game.
Damn.
I went back and looked, and I'm pretty sure that last sentence is, Hey You Pikachu is probably my least favorite game of all time, but that seems to have gotten lost somewhere in the mix there.
Well, I mean, they did say Hey Pikachu, not Hey You Pikachu.
That's true. Maybe that's a different game that they were playing.
Not the same game at all.
Did you play this video game back in the day?
I played a little bit of it. I didn't own it.
Sure.
But yeah, I had friends who had it. I think my cousins had it, and I played it there as well.
Would you mind explaining what this video game does? What is it?
Yeah, so it was imagine that they made like a Pikachu, Alexa, or Siri, the game. So pretty much you are a young child in the Pokemon world, and you are going to help Professor Oak communicate with a Pikachu because he invented something where you can talk to it, right?
Yeah, there's some technology advancement that Oak has got.
Yeah, so the game ships with a little microphone put into the controller and like comes up towards you so you can speak into it, like a little yellow microphone, very in vogue, Pikachu colored microphone.
Yeah.
And so the game works by you say things into the microphone to interact with Pikachu to complete like activities and quests and stuff like that. And so it pretty much just becomes like Pikachu is like your pet, and you go out and like do things with Pikachu because he's your buddy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of it is just by looking around and talking to Pikachu that you interact with the game.
Yeah, you're able to like move your character with the actual controller, but then you have this little like stick microphone that you have to speak into to like try and get Pikachu to do shit.
Yeah, pay attention to you, to mind you.
Yeah, exactly. To varying degrees of success, I will say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's different tasks, like you said. I think like, I don't know, like you go look for shit, you can go interact with other Pokemon, you can try and get them to like evolve and shit like that, by just like, fulfilling certain requirements. It honestly reminds me a lot of the Pokemon Snap games in that there's like kind of an arbitrary number of shit that you can do. And like sometimes the actions are like, why would I do that? But you kind of just have to like mess around with it until you figure out what you actually need to do.
Yeah. You just kind of have to do trial and error for a lot of it.
Yeah. Cool. Why don't we talk about? Do we want to talk about like what's good about this game first, or do we want to kind of acknowledge the elephant in the room of that it's not a particularly phenomenal like voice simulator?
Yeah, they hadn't cracked the code yet on that one.
No,
as people who use virtual assistants nowadays can understand as well. There are still kinks being worked out as far as voice recognition technology goes, and the little tiny Nintendo 64 cartridge definitely did not have the processing power and the software available to it to do this effectively or well.
No, yeah, I don't think that's the case. Like it was hard to do, and like I was watching this ad for the game, and in the ad they were also like, you got to be patient with Pikachu. He's like not a smart creature, and like it might take you a few tries. And I'm like, are you guys just like Is that just how you're getting around the fact that like it's hard to do this?
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Exactly.
Pikachu's
like,
hard to communicate with.
Yeah. And so like it didn't nail it the first time. I think I read that it understands like 200, short of 200 words.
That's not bad.
It's not bad, but like when you think about it, that's not a lot either.
No,
like
that's not a lot of words.
It's not a very comprehensive dictionary, you know?
Yeah.
I was looking at do you remember the game Seaman for Dreamcast?
I sure do. Similar thing.
It's similar, yeah. Like you have to take care of a fish with a man's head on it.
A man-fish? Fish man?
Yeah. And like it has the same concept. There's like a microphone that you plugged into the Dreamcast and you could like talk to it. And I think that game advertised that it had like 10,000 words, which I think probably works a lot better.
Dang, 10,000.
Yeah, which like, I guess all things considered, like if you're talking to like Pikachu, like what do you really need to be saying? It's not going to like talk back to you. Seaman was like, what's your favorite food? Like,
oh yeah, Seaman was weird.
It was very weird. That's a very odd game. But yeah, like I think the main thing to acknowledge with this game is just that like it's frustrating. It's not an easy game to play, but I think there's also a lot of stuff that it does very well.
Yeah, I think there is. I think that's the big thing in the game that isn't up to par is the voice recognition.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's also like the thing that's coolest about it, because sometimes it does work and it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it does work, it's like, oh wow, future.
That was like shocking to me back in the day. And like as a tiny child who like technology was advancing very quickly, this was like an impressive feat to feel like I was communicating with a little digital monster.
Yeah, when I could say like, hi Pikachu, and Pikachu would like, wake up and be like, Pika,
what's up,
baby. I was like, yes, this is the game for me. This is the best game ever. I've always wanted to talk to Pikachu, and now it is responding to my words.
It is funny that they tried to like simulate a lot of parts of Pokemon for a while, and this was one of them. Just like the owning a Pikachu simulator.
Having a Pikachu as a friend to chase, please.
Yeah. No, that's true. No, it's an important distinction because it really wants you to feel close to this little thing.
Yeah, it does. It wants it to be your friend, not just your pet, but your cognizant, thinking friend.
Speaking of which, I took this to, I think it was like my babysitter's house when I was younger. Because I wanted to show like the people who were also there, like, check this video game out. Like, you get to see my new best friend, Pikachu. And I brought it over there, and the other children immediately started just like cursing and yelling at Pikachu.
Oh my God. So
mad. I was furious because like, I was like, you guys are fucking this up for me. Pikachu's going to hate me. Because like I think, I don't know if it's words or tone, but it understands when you're yelling bad stuff at it.
Yeah.
And it'll like kind of like respond like it looks frustrated. And I was sure that I was just doing like irreparable damage to my little Pikachu friend.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
I was so frustrated.
These people were mean. These are mean kids at your daycare.
I think that like that is a normal response to voice recognition. Like, what happens when I yell at it? What happens when I curse at it? Because like that's a very new thing in 2000 is like voice recognition and like having the processing power to respond to whatever you're saying. Like, it's one thing to try and like transcribe words from like vocal input. Also to have like the wherewithal to make sense of that enough to be able to like display a digital character that is like inhibiting emotion response to in response to your words. Which felt crazy significant at the time. Like so yeah, I was very frustrated that my poor little Pikachu was getting yelled at.
Oh man, you're too sweet for this world, Chase.
I just wanted a best friend.
Just wanted a bestie.
What else did you like about this game?
I mean, kind of what you just said was a pretty big part of it, is that it really did, like, for when I was younger, it was like, hey, this is my friend. This is a thing that responds to me. This is great. And then the little quests that you go on were pretty engaging. I don't remember being able to really do any of them as a child because they were pretty ambiguous and difficult. But just being out there with Pikachu trying to collect stew fixings, I guess it was. What was it that you were making? You had to like cook. Yeah,
I don't remember what the cooking minigame was doing, but I do remember that there was like something like that.
Yeah. So it's just, I guess what I enjoyed is that it was just kind of like a slice of life game. You know, you just kind of do silly random things with Pikachu, like go fish, make food, get apples by shocking them with Thunderbolt. So yeah, it's just living life with a Pikachu, and that's the whole game.
Yeah, and like that, I mean, that is pretty compelling. Like, I think that if you can do that well enough, even if you put like, say you did a similar game to this now, like, I feel like that would sell pretty well. Like, people would be pretty interested in that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the draw of Animal Crossing, right? Like, it's slice of life. Like, what happens when I just go get up and exist in this place?
Yeah.
Pokemon so rarely explores that in depth. It's always, I want to be the very best, rather than like, I want to go with my one Pokemon, my one Bidoof, and like just go hang out for like hours.
Yeah. I'm going to go make a business. I'm going to start a Poke shop or something.
Yeah. There was like Pokemon Cafe that came out a little while ago that I thought was like not too bad and almost got towards it, but it felt very gamey after a while. Like, it's just kind of running the cafe and that's it.
Sure.
I think this game really leaned into the idea of like, we want you to feel like this is what you're doing. The point is to just hang out. And I think the actual narrative point of the game was to like do research for Professor Oak on Pikachu.
On Pikachu and like this technology or whatever it was.
Right.
See a Pikachu in the wild. See what it does.
Yeah, and I think, you were mentioning this earlier, that the conceit of it is that you're able to communicate with it now. Speaking of which, did you ever beat this game? Do you know about the ending of this game?
I have no idea about the ending of this game. I did not beat it.
Neither did I. I looked it up today. Devastating, the end of this video game.
What? No, does Pikachu die?
He does not die. Somehow worse. The end of the game is that Professor Oak gives you this like big speech in the forest. He's like, you've done so much for this Pikachu. You guys have become incredibly close, but I unfortunately have to give you the task that really only you have the strength to complete as its like best friend. And that is to release it back into the wild.
Oh my God.
And a prompt comes up on the screen that says, say goodbye to Pikachu.
Oh no.
Dude. You have to release it. You have to literally speak the words goodbye Pikachu into the fucking microphone to beat the game.
That's so messed up.
It's so fucked. Just like Can you imagine being 10 and getting to that moment?
I would be just crying.
Like, devastated.
I would be crying, dude. My God.
I can't believe that is the way they chose to conclude this video game.
That's worse than anything in The Last of Us 2.
No, yeah, dude. Like, all the chuds on Twitter should be complaining about the ending of fucking Hey You Pikachu, because it's so much more vindictive and painful than anything in The Last of Us 2. My God, like, the whole game is structured around building this relationship between not only the character and Pikachu, but you personally.
Yeah.
And this character, like, it is hearing your voice. You are speaking to it, and the way they choose to end it is by telling him to fuck off.
Pretty much.
That is the worst. I can't believe
releasing him back into the wild.
The
Chase. It's like when he let Squirtle go to the Squirtle Squad. It's very. It has a precedent in the anime.
It does, but that was a painful thing to even watch, let alone participate.
Yeah, when he got rid of Butterfree and Charizard.
Oh my God! Yeah, that. The episodes leading up to where he let go of Butterfree were so sad and melancholic. Yeah. It's like the same sort of vibe here. Like when he was like trading Butterfree to evolve him or whatever on the ship, I think is what was happening in the anime. And just like, oh my God, it's so sad. So like, I'm sure that they're like trying to hit a similar tone, but I could not believe that was how they chose to do this. Like, not in a bad way, just that like y'all are really trying to hit this fucking mark, man. Like that is a bold thing to put.
That's some real gameplay right there. That's some real ass gameplay right there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
Only you can do this as his best friend.
Painful text that he read, that he had to read to you, like essentially saying like you have the closest connection to him. He trusts you the most. Like you're the person who has to do this.
God,
Oak. My dude, Oak, you can't make me do this. Oh my God. So I think that like the game is pretty effective at what it's doing, given the impact there.
Damn, I had no idea that's how it ended.
Me neither. I was shocked to hear about that.
It's a little fucked.
So anyway, I thought that was definitely swinging for the fence, as we say on that one.
For sure.
I think just like to sort of tack on the rest of it, like what was great about this one, like it is like language processing is a pretty notable thing to try and do on a home console that definitely was not intended to have a microphone connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty ambitious thing to try and do. It seems like they probably, didn't hit the mark all the time, but I think that's a really, really good use of an advance in technology. Like, I'm sure just the fucking Game Freak was like, hey, we need some kind of Pokemon thing. But like, what a good idea to have the interaction be with like your little buddy.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, they could have gone a lot of different routes with that, but I think they chose probably one of the better ones they could have. Yeah,
because I think like language and talking and conversation naturally sort of makes you close to whoever you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot of the time how people just become close with one another. Like there's very few other ways to become super close to somebody really without like talking to them. And so I think like doing that over time is a really good idea to sort of endear you to a certain person or character in the same way that like terrifying as it is, Seaman did in the same way. And there have been other sort of like vocal driven video games that have come out. What was that one that you're on like a space station? Do you remember that? Yeah, Lifeline for the PlayStation 2 is the game that we're talking about. It's this like, the wiki says, its defining aspect is the player controls the game entirely by using a microphone to speak to the on-screen characters, which is pretty wild. And like, I like that application is interesting. Like it's a fun experiment, but I think in the same way that like VR isn't necessarily suited for first person shooters in the way that like you have to move your character around, like makes people sick.
Yeah.
I think that games where voice recognition is like the core part of it are really tailor-made for like building a relationship with a certain character.
Sure. Yeah, they should be like one-on-one kind of intensive relationship building games.
Yeah, like it, if you can imagine like a game where it's just you and like one other character and they're just sort of listening to you while you're talking, like that's a pretty effective experience. Even if it was in something as simple as Animal Crossing, like if you're able to say, somebody came up to you and say like, how's your day? And it's like, oh, it's going okay. Like I'm a little bit tired. If they were able to respond to you and be like, oh yeah, I didn't get good sleep last night either. Like suddenly that's a wildly effective situation,
Yeah, that changes a lot of things.
Yeah. Like being able to be heard in any space is really effective, but it's like, I think in a video game is a wildly ambitious thing to take on.
Dating sim?
Yeah, exactly. Like another great example of how this could be super effective. Pun intended on super effective.
I didn't even catch it. Well done. Well done.
So yeah, this game was interesting. I think about Hey You Pikachu pretty frequently.
It was exceptionally memorable because of what it did.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it didn't hit the mark, and maybe that's why there hasn't been a game like it since then. Mm-hmm. But it was ambitious, and maybe even too ambitious even for now, right?
Yeah,
like
no,
how
genuinely.
Far ahead of its time was it?
This would be a hard problem to solve in 2021, let alone 21 years ago.
Yeah, when will this be a feasible thing to be able to do well?
Yeah.
Don't know.
But I am looking forward to whenever that happens. I feel like that's a really fun idea to be able to develop a relationship between what feels like a digital character and then also a real life person, like somebody playing it. Cool. Do you have anything else to say about Hey You Pikachu?
I do not.
Then we're good.
We're good.
Say goodbye to Pikachu.
Goodbye, Pikachu.
We're on Twitter, David, by the way.
We sure are.
We are. You can reach us at Podtimism if you would so like to. We're out there. We're hanging out. We're tweeting about our episodes, and that's kind of it. So if you have something pressing to say, that's a good place to do it. Let's see what else. You can email us if you would like to at Podtimism, or just Podtimism at Gmail. That's where we live on this world wide web.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to support the show in some way, we ask that you just leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That's a great way to help us out, to get the word out there about a Podtimism. Or you can show it to a friend and say, hey, I bet you like the show. If they would. If they don't, then like, I don't know, kick them back over to TED Radio Hour. kick them back over to, I don't know, the Daily. I bet the Daily has enough listeners. They're probably not dying. They're probably not listening.
How about the Sporkful? That's one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, the Sporkful. What is that one?
It's a food podcast.
I love that.
About the guy who he just created his own pasta shape and released it. A brand new pasta shape.
I ate those pastas. You fed me those.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, love that.
He makes good pod.
Well, yeah, you can go listen to one of those if you don't like this pod. But if your friend might like this one, then give us a look and see if they might like us as well. Also, finally, and most importantly by far, thank you for listening to this podcast. We're super grateful that you chose to spend your time here this week instead of doing the Dougie at your local skate park, which we know you all love to do.
Is that a thing people do?
People love to Dougie in the year of our Lord 2021.
The Dougie's back? The Dougie's been around for so long.
Yeah, the kids are all saying, I wish there were some old people to teach me how to Dougie. And all these millennials are coming out and say, I know how to Dougie.
These old bones still know how to Dougie.
Thank you for choosing to spend your time here. We deeply appreciate it. And
yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
We love and support you. Also, David.
Yes.
Do you have any gaming wisdom for us this week?
Oh, I do. I do.
I don't know. That doesn't sound pretty convincing.
I do, Chase.
I
do.
Okay, what is it?
If you ever had to say goodbye to a beloved friend,
yeah,
don't dwell on what you've lost, but celebrate what you had.
Oh, that was a devastatingly concise amount of wisdom.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
That's
all for the week.
Did you and I release each other into the Pokemon forest when we moved to different cities? Is that what happened?
I just had a picture of you and I just released you into the wilds of Sacramento, into the parkway.
Yeah, no, that feels accurate. So maybe the addendum to the wisdom is, if you have to release Pikachu into the wild, start a podcast with him.
Yeah, start a podcast with Pikachu. You're in your home with your mom. He's out in the wild with Bulbasaur cooking some stew.
Yeah.
And you're still close. You're still communicating.
What do you think Pikachu would start a podcast about?
Oh, God.
I think Frasier. I think Frasier is my bet.
TV show.
Yeah, the TV show Frasier. I think Pokemon.
He's a Frasier specialty podcast.
I think Pikachu. I think
how much content is even in that?
Yeah,
you can only do so many episodes.
No, what he does is he does a watch through of each episode and then does a podcast about that episode and really breaks it down for all those Frasier heads.
Yeah, but then there's only so many episodes of Frasier.
Start over.
Just do it again.
Yeah, run it back.
Oh my God! Wow. Peer review your own work. Damn.
He starts overlaying one episode of podcast on the other to really
Frasier cast. Oh my
really
God. Why Frasier of all shows?
I think that's just what speaks to Pikachu.
Pikachu?
Hey you, Niles.
Hey you, Niles. Hey you, what's the dog in the show? Hey you,
It was named Pikachu. The name of the dog in Frasier was named Pikachu.
That's why he's into it.
That's why the Pokemon Pikachu is into the show Frasier, because of the dog named Pikachu.
He just loves it. He loves it because the dog is obviously the smartest character on the show.
Clearly.
Amongst all these moronic humans who think they're super smart with their PhDs. Yeah, that's my take on Frasier.
I'm looking forward to Pikachu's next podcast about Cheers. It's going to be really good, I think.
He only does the episodes of Cheers with Frasier on it, though. all the other episodes just
irrelevant.
No.
It doesn't matter. Those are terrible.
Doesn't got the Frasier. No Kelsey Graham. I'm out.
Oh God. Okay, that's enough show.
That's all my Frasier jokes. He's the new Jerry Seinfeld.
Frasier Cron. Franzia. How do we mispronounce Frasier Crayon?
Franzia Crayon.
The poor listeners who have to read our titles every week, and this one's going to be Franzia Crayon. I'm sorry, everyone. And it took you an hour to get to the reference. I'm so sorry.
Hey, we got to keep them listening all the way through, right?
What does it mean?
Franzia Crayon? Who is this?
Okay, bye.
See ya.